Black woman mocked in hotel lobby. Minutes later, she revealed she owned it. Before dive, and please subscribe to channel. The Celeste Grand Hotel had always been a place of spectacle. Crystal chandeliers, golden pillars, and polished marble floors that reflected the lives of the rich and arrogant. Guests came not just to stay but to be seen, as if their very presence proved they belonged to an unspoken elite. That morning, Elena Ward walked into the lobby with quiet grace that went largely unnoticed. She wore no designer gown, no diamonds, just a tailored navy coat and low heels, her brown hair pulled into a neat bun. She carried herself simply, with an air of someone used to blending in. It had been years since she had set foot in this city. Years since she'd escaped the shadows of betrayal, humiliation, and a man who once told her she'd never amount to anything. She had returned not to confront, not to boast, but to enjoy a stay on her own terms. But fate has a way of dragging the past into the light. Elena? The voice was unmistakable. Cold, smug, dripping with disbelief. She turned, and there stood Richard Hale, her former fiancé, tall, broad-shouldered, dressed in an Armani suit that clung to him like armor. On his arm clung Vivian Cross, a socialite with sharp cheekbones and a smirk that could slice through glass. For a moment, Elena's breath caught. She had once dreamed of a life with Richard. That dream had died the day he left her, humiliated and penniless. For Vivian, now they stood before her, perfectly poised, as though summoned to remind her of old scars. "Well, well," Richard said loudly, his voice echoing across the marble lobby. "I never thought I'd see you here. Tell me, Elena, what brings you?" "Looking for work." Vivian tilted her head, her jeweled earrings swinging. "Don't be cruel, Richard. Maybe she's here to deliver something? Room service, perhaps?" The laughter that followed wasn't only theirs. Guests nearby smirked, some whispering. Phones subtly angled, recording. In this hotel, public cruelty was a sport. Elena's fingers curled into her coat pocket, but her face remained calm. "Still as loud as ever," she murmured. Years ago, Richard had mocked her ambitions. She had dreamed of building a business, of proving herself. He had laughed, told her she was naive, that she'd never stand on her own. When he left her for Vivian, Elena had no money, no support. She worked nights in diners, days at offices that barely paid, all while studying contracts and business deals in between shifts. Pain had sharpened her focus. Betrayal had carved out her resilience. She built quietly. She invested smartly. And when fortune finally turned, she seized it. Today, she was not the woman Richard remembered. But she had no intention of revealing that. Not yet. "You must admit," Richard said, his voice growing louder, "it's strange, isn't it? Seeing someone like you in a place like this." Vivian added with a sly grin, "Darling, don't tease her. The poor thing might actually believe she belongs." A ripple of cruel laughter traveled across the lobby. Richard leaned in, his tone low but sharp enough for the crowd to hear. "You'll never belong here. Elena, you never did." Elena looked at him, unflinching. "And yet here I am." Her calmness unsettled him. Vivian, sensing the shift, scoffed. "Security should escort her out. We wouldn't want her loitering. Is there a problem here?" The deep voice belonged to Daniel Cross, the hotel's general manager, Vivian's own cousin. He approached with measured steps, his security staff behind him. Richard smirked. Perfect timing. This woman is causing a disturbance. She doesn't belong here. Vivian folded her arms. "Escort her out, Daniel. We have an image to uphold." Daniel's eyes flickered to Elena. Recognition sparked, followed by respect. "Elena Ward," he said evenly, "welcome back. Your suite is prepared." The words hung in the air. Richard blinked. "Her suite?" Vivian frowned. "What are you talking about?" Daniel straightened. "Miss Ward is not only a guest. She is the primary investor of this property. Without her, the Celeste Grand would not exist." A hush fell over the lobby. Dozens of recording phones zoomed in. Gasps rippled. Richard's face drained of color. Vivian's smirk cracked. Elena stepped closer, her voice calm but cutting. "The last time we spoke, Richard, you told me I'd never belong in your world. So I built my own. And this, she gestured around, this is mine. Richard stammered. You can't be serious. Vivian clutched his arm. She's lying. This is some stunt. Daniel's voice cut like steel. She owns this building. Every floor, every chandelier, every marble tile you're standing on. Gasps turned to murmurs, murmurs into laughter, not at Elena, but at Richard and Vivian. Elena's expression never changed. Security, she said softly. Show them out. Richard's face contorted with rage. You can't. But Daniel raised a hand, and the guards moved forward. Phones recorded every second as Richard Hale, once so smug, and Vivian Cross, once so sharp, were escorted out into the blinding daylight, their protest drowned by the thunderous silence of humiliation. The lobby erupted into applause. Elena Ward, someone shouted. Queen, another cried. The clip spread like wildfire. Within hours, hashtags trended worldwide. Hashtag Elena Ward, hashtag owner in disguise, hashtag never mock the quiet ones. By nightfall, Richard and Vivian's names were drowned in ridicule, their empire of arrogance reduced to dust. And Elena? She sat in the penthouse suite, her penthouse, sipping wine as the city lights glimmer below. She had been mocked, betrayed, humiliated, but now the world knew her name. And this time she smiled.